Okay. Greetings, sweet dear ones, sweet dearly beloveds. Welcome to Huna Flash TV. It's an honor to be here with our special guests. And if you have questions, we'll do our best to answer them. This is live and interactive. Huna Flash TV at the House of Huna. Welcome to you all. And we look forward to being with you here. Enjoy. And welcome everybody, and it's incredible to be here. Look who we have. This is a wonderful lineup of guests, and so honored to be here with Dr. Christian Northrup, also known as Huna Takureru. Huna Takureru. We have to look up when we say Huna. And George Lewis, astrologist extraordinaire. George Lewis who is also Huna. Huna Warema, and when we say Warema, we say this with a wide face. Warema, with a wide
Warema,
with a wide mouth. Wow, what an incredible moment we're in, as we know, in this transference of energy, the transference of knowledge, of wisdom, of frequency, vibration, and the magnetic levels are going through the roof. Welcome to our audience from all over the globe, all over the planet. Such a beautiful spherical planet. I will add, if I can still say that, and nobody throwing arrows at me. And a beautiful spherical planet from all over, from Frankfurt, Germany. Welcome, Huna Manu, and also from Iceland. There's Huna. You have to remind me of your Huna, Anna. I apologize. I'm just so excited. I'm like, my mind is going, wow. Finally, we get to sit down with these two wonderful Hunas and extraordinarily intelligent humans and beings from all over the universe, I bet, to share with you there from Wales, and share with everybody from Northern California. And Huna Hirimata over there in Holland. There it is. There's Manuel's Huna's Mataho. And also we've got somebody here, Bruna from Pluto. Bruna from Pluto in Aquarius. Fantastic. Wow. Like, we're going to come at you all, audience, and I'm going to invite the audience. I'm going to invite you guys to get to the top of your crown on this one. Shift everything up. We're just going to come right at you really hard and fast with words and sounds and conversation that you may not be able to follow, or you may be able to follow. I'm not saying that you can't, but it might take a minute to adjust here, okay? Because we're going to go from transmutation coding through transition coding into the transcendence codes. And these are actual things. This is what's taking place. The planets are sharing that with us. The moon is sharing that with us. Dr. Northrup is sharing that with us. George is sharing that with us. And we have Huna Tamaake that is in the background there, making sure that you are getting this. And so I'm going to invite you to switch your ears to a higher gear. All right. We are beginning from the perspective that you already know what's going on. You've been watching enough news lately, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. You guys have been watching enough alternative news, enough fake news, and you have enough information right now that we don't even need to talk about things that are in that area. We want to talk about things that are transitioning. So what I'd like to do, right off the kick, if I can invite Beauty Before Beast and invite Huna Takureru, Dr. Christian Northrup, to just to share where she's at in this position of transferring of energy in this moment.
In this very moment, I have become aware of an incredible revival that's taking place in Kentucky. A prayer revival 24/7 is beginning its second week. Now, think about this, Huna, that a couple of students at a Christian college go to a regular prayer service, and then they hang around, and then something, spirit comes in, and spirit moves. And now they've had 35 million views of this revival that's going on, the praying, the singing, the praise. When I heard about it on my way to church this morning, I don't know, I nearly burst into tears because the body is a barometer for the holy. We know it when we feel it. And I don't get all caught up in fundamentalism. I just won't do it. I will not go there. But boy, this thing, think about it. This isn't in a big mega church. This isn't in one of those places in Dallas with everyone's got the big hair. This is a little university, Christian university, little chapel, and people are coming from all over the world to be part of this. Now, only God could orchestrate that, or source, or however you want to say.
Yes, yes.
And, and I will tell you that as I was just talking to my friend Kevin Jenkins, and he said, well, people are talking about we got to grow our own food and all. Yeah, we do. But at this point, what has to happen at this particular moment, everybody needs to realize that there are a bunch of psychopaths at the helm of planet Earth trying to destroy humanity. And it's all going to be fine. I know all that. And we're not going to have a nuclear war. But what I do know is we each need to go after them in whatever way possible. I created a common law trust called Stand Firm Now for all health professionals with the 24 COVID commonalities, 100 or 280 exhibits. If you read that thing into a video, you sign it in front of a notary public. We're talking about, working on the ground with statutory law systems, but bringing in common law. Then we can take down this COVID crime scene. It is a felony homicide program. And the key to it, the medical system, remember that the fight for the soul of humanity is being fought in healthcare. People have been so duped by, now I know we're on YouTube, so there's stuff I would say. No, I don't want you to be taken down.
Well, you know what? That CEO is resigning, so say whatever you want. It's fine. I won't be taken down.
You won't?
Trust me. No, I've said all the kinds of things you can think of. You go ahead and say what you need to say.
That's amazing.
I'm still here.
That's interesting. That's amazing. That's some power there, everybody. Okay, so we've got that one. The other one I'm working on is 10letters.org. Richard, what's his last name? Fleming, Richard Fleming, MD, PhD, JD. He's a lawyer, he's an MD, he's a PhD, he's a heart expert. And he said, you got to get to the disease. You can't just run around treating symptoms, right? So we got all these people and they're having heart attacks and they're having stillborns and they're having miscarriages and they're having everything under the sun. That's a symptom. The disease is the psychopaths at the top creating the next virus and the next virus and the next. We know that the Spanish flu epidemic of the early 1900s was also orchestrated, folks. This is not natural. None of it is natural. These demons have funded both sides of every war. Now, they've already lost. So what you need to understand, and the big gun head of the Hydra has been removed. The Hive Queen of Orion, she has been removed. But there's all these Draco reptilian hybrids running around, and we all have to deal with them. So I don't care who you are, and go plant your garden and do all that and choose the thought that feels better. But you damn well better be willing to stand up for the human race, because this is the war for all of it. If we don't win this, we're all gone. Now, you and I know We're not going to be all gone. But the normies, the sleepers, I want you to be scared shitless so you'll actually get up off your ass and do something. So the Fleming strategy is 10letters.org. Every one of you send these, you go to the website, 10letters.org. Fleming has 4,800 documents that show the criminal conspiracy of creating these bioweapons against humanity. And it's been going on a long time. GMO crops, fluoride in the water. In my field, women's health, we've done all kinds of dirty deeds. Thalidomide, IUDs that had the string where bacteria went right up into the uterus and caused infertility. DES daughters. I mean, we got to stop this stupidity, people. You've got to learn that the medical system, I just learned, by the way, and I've got to get the data. Hospitals have been transferred after 9/11 into the legal system, like police, like they're operating under the whatever it's called, law enforcement, which is why people have gone into hospitals and you can't get them out. They're being held against their will. This stuff has to be, we got to take a look at this, folks. We got to look at it and say, never again on my watch. And that begins in your own town, in your own family. Now, there's people who are not going to wake up. Love them from a distance. You can't talk to them about it. That's okay. But we had Roseanne Barr doing a comedy special on Fox, regular television,
Right.
saying, here's what she said. I mean, I've been saying this stuff in private for a long time, but she goes, I'll just imitate her. Roe v. Wade, you don't need to worry about Roe v. Wade because you're never going to get pregnant if you've had the vax. Yeah. I mean, whoa. And she's saying that, and she's calling her daughters libtards. I mean, this is the turning of the tide. The wind is at our backs, but remember, an enemy is most dangerous when they know they've lost. They're pulling out all of it. We got the train wrecks. We've got,
derailments. Yeah.
Yeah. A big thing in Verona, Italy. Fear will paralyze you. They're doing it to get more loose, keep you afraid, keep you angry, keep you in despair. Oh, no. This is when we rise up into our full humanity, into our made in the image of God. That's
Una, would you say this is a transmutation? These are part of the transmutation codes, or the way to behave to activate your transmutation codes.
Yes.
Transmutating the vibration, the frequency around you.
Yes.
It is part of the transmutation efforts.
Yes. In fact, it needs to be a little hard or you'll never transmute. Like if you want to get a bigger muscle, you got to lift some heavier weights and you got to tear some muscle fibers. Okay.
You're so gangster. I said that about you. You're really gangster. That is awesome. Lift some weights. Yes. Prepare, get capacity, build your capacity. Right.
Yeah.
Can I just pop in as and just to remind everybody watching here, I said we'll save some more as we get deeper. If you have a question, everybody, for the audience, you must be brave and you must come onto the screen and ask the question directly.
Very good.
You can share the comment, but Huna Tamaki is standing by to receive you and guide you in. I will remind you that you have to mute the YouTube channel. Just mute the volume and then check and select the link to come onto the screen. And you can ask any of our guests directly and they will get to see you. And as we get to see you and we get to know each other and you become braver and you become stronger and have more courage, these energies of transmutation, we will feel your support. You will feel our support. We will see who you are. And this is a time of the revealing. This is the time of the revealing. And this is what Dr. Northrup Hunatakureru is talking about. This revealing and the transmutations are going to really get us along into this transition phase. Beautifully said. You're so gangster. I said that when I first met you in Cozumel. You're gangster, Doc. And so while somebody is thinking of the question, come on, guys, I've got to get you guys going on the audience here to get that question going. I want to invite now Huna Warema with a wide face and a wide smile to pop in here. And please just introduce yourself and just let us know where you're at right now, brother. Like we're going to hit them right at the top of the crown.
Well, absolutely. The seventh chakra, that's my lucky number, always was and always will be. It's a very important year. We're actually in a 7-year. 2 + 2 + 3 is 7, 2023. So we're combining the numerology of 7 with the water rabbit. So it is all about creative magic this year. And as we enter the age of, as we enter the month, the zodiac month of Pisces, I think it's auspicious that Dr. Northrup and myself find ourselves with you today, which is really about Pisces is the cosmic and consciousness. And one of the reasons why, many ways, why I have such admiration and love for Dr. Northrup is she does channel the buff Archangel Michael. and the New Age movement doesn't do Archangel Michael because it doesn't do shadow work. It doesn't go out to battle. And so, I can't stress this enough. In order to alchemize, the true alchemy is done by witnessing and allowing the darkness to be revealed. Literally, the light is shone upon it. That is the Christed light. That is the galactic light. That is love. We can call it what you want. But at the end of the day, without the revelation of the darkness, we can't go to the next level of consciousness. And we are conscious beings where, as we all know, we're moving through the photon belt. It happens about every 12,500 years, which is actually half of what's called the Great Year, as Plato spoke about. It's the precession of the equinoxes. And every time we come out of one era, age of Pisces, and now we're entering the age of Aquarius. Actually, Aquarius is Huna Flash's birth zodiac year. So that's exciting that we are really pushing forward towards newer levels of consciousness. And it's intense because we're really rediscovering the divine spark of the big G, as Barbara Marcinek says. The big G is the big God. And of course, the lesser G are the gods of the Anunnaki and Enlil and Anu and all that. And we can talk about that another time. But it's important to understand that, we are part of a big galactic story. And what I love about Huna, and, it's auspicious for me because I just met, I came, to Huna as a guest, as someone who wanted to be learning more about this Lemurian culture, which is so part of our ancient and hidden history, predates Atlantis. And that's where I met Dr. Northrup. And we've become, very close. And it's so wonderful in this Great Awakening. We're meeting our tribe very quickly. So I feel very honored to be here today. And of course, I can speak a little bit more about the astrology as and when.
Fantastic, Huna. Yes, I'm so grateful for the burning mass that took place. And when was that? 300 years ago?
May last year. In the Gregorian calendar, it was last year in May.
and it seems so far away now that the burning mask we completed in 6 countries. Just a little backstory here, as we all 4 here met and all the Hunas began together. The burning mask provided that opportunity for us to gather into the one, converge into the one intention, and the convergence into our memories and sharing information. And so the burning of the mask really did affect so many in many ways. Burning of the mask, ladies and gentlemen, sweet dearly beloveds, what I mean by that is the removing of the false face. And this is part of the reason why I want to invite you to, when you ask your question, that you come on the screen so we can see at least for this moment in this technology, see you directly. And now I know you're asking, some are asking, oh, I have a question. So I'm going to invite Hunatama to send the link. There's the link right there. When you have a question, just hit that link. Remember now, mute your YouTube before you come on, before you select that link, so you don't have a loop going on, of audio loop. And then come on in and ask your question directly. In the meantime, while we're waiting for our question, the transmutation codes and the transmutations that Huna Takureru was speaking to, and the and the whereabouts of how that is getting input, right? The places where that's getting input, which is what Huna Wadema is talking about, where those get input into. We're going to share more details of that today. And just so I can spark a little interest in that direction, I will just share just for a moment, a minute till we wait for the question. The theme of this audience and this gathering is the Lemurian astrology, Gregorian astrology, and spiritual health. Yes, Lemurian astrology. Just from my personal perspective on this, as my birthday had just passed of February 3rd, you mostly know, and most of you know, is that being of the Aquarius. In the Lemurian, this is the hummingbird. And this is my true birth sign as I understand it in terms of its openness and infiniteness into the laws of the nature and the laws, if you say the big G, the one that is the one and the energy that is totally open and has no way of being, let's say, captured and put into a loop to go spinning around in a circle upon itself. And so my birth sign in February reveals to me the age of Lemuria. And we're going to get into these things. So for myself, I operate from the age of Lemuria at this time. So when I'm sharing to you, we're going to come straight at you, right at your crown, right at your third eye, going to get it a bump. We're going to bump your third eye, sharing these little things like this. And maybe you already know these things, and that's great. That will encourage the questions and encourage you to be brave and come on and show your face here, and we can get into it now. We do have a question, I think.
Yeah, Ritu. There she is. Right as I say Ritu, she appears. I tend to do that with people.
Fantastic. You did that brilliantly. Okay. Hi there, Huna. Here's another Huna in the house. To come to ask the question. Can we hear you?
Yeah. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Fantastic.
Okay. Well, I have been getting little snippets and bits from George the past few months about this journey that he's been on with Dr. Northrup. And I want to hear some highlights. I haven't heard highlights. I heard about Kentucky, right? I want, if you both can tell us some things that have really touched you on this journey for medical freedom you've been on, and truth, and just something. I'm just dying for more information.
Who do we begin with? We begin with Takureru, yes.
All right. So George met me in Nashville, and we stayed at the home of the award-winning country singer Karen Staley and her partner Lori, and it was very, very cold. And we stayed in the cowboy rooms. It's she's a cowgirl, a lot of fun. And the Clay Clark Reawaken America tour was held at Pastor Locke's church, which turns out to be a giant circus tent. And they had, so I call it the conference that we had in the gravel pit. Seriously, there were like 10 porta potties and all of that. But here's the thing. Clay Clark brings together people from all walks of life. And it's kind of become, by the way, like the Grateful Dead for 2023, because people come to all of that. We've got the flyover conservatives from Kansas. One of the beautiful things about it is my world has been very, up until 2020, kind of bi-coastal, standard, either New England or California, Ivy League kind of stuff. And now suddenly I'm finding myself in the heartland, literally in the heartland of the United States, and finding it with people who are solid as a rock. And so we went from there. George, tell them about your experience with the guy with water. That was fascinating.
I mean, there are two things to say. The water thing has been great. We are all beginning to learn the power of water. And I think, the new paradigm is we have a unique piece of the jigsaw puzzle individually to put together in the great collective. No one has the final say. It's like, how do we create this piece of magic? Because when we understand the magic, but also the power of water to heal, and, you know, traveling around with a first-rate doctor, you know, has been great for me, because, you know, we can keep testing these things and seeing, you know, water when it's pure, when it's called explosion water, it reduces all inflammation, which is basically disease. It goes, because the lipids on the other side of the membrane will start to dissipate. We've met some amazing scientists, amazing doctors, healers, people thinking creatively out of the old paradigm, desperately keen to be in service to humanity. And backing up Dr. Northrup's first point, which for me is very humbling, is the heart of the United States. It is, what is the United States? What, you know, as a Brit who's become an American, I only got citizenship 2 years before the pandemic started. And, you know, I'm still obviously a dual citizen, but I care passionately about this country. We are birthing the Second Republic because we're reimagining what the first was and where it got distorted and stolen. And when you go to the heartland of this great country of ours, you begin to see what it really is about. The humility. And of course, they've been pushed so badly with crap food, forced upon them, crap water. I mean, dark water. We're talking arsenic, fluoride, the whole 9 yards. Okay, everywhere, of course. But radical compassion for these often fat people, and yet they still carry God inside them. Their hearts are pure and they're determined. And I say, wow, for me, that's been a humbling experience, and somewhere where I want to hang up my flag and join them in this great awakening that we're now in. And the reawakening tour, and Dr. Northrup spoke, and, you know, she is a stand-up comedian, and it's a great way to get people, you know, to wake up and smell the coffee.
Okay. And then we went from Nashville. After that, we went to Asheville, Hendersonville in particular. And George and I both gave a lecture there. And we also gathered sworn affidavits under penalty of perjury with my 22 COVID commonalities. And that is for all of you healthcare people, standfirmnow.org. You can do this all online, but we had a notary there, and we had people collecting and scanning the affidavits and all of that. Our goal is 4,000 by the end of March, and we're going to need God to come in and help with that one. And so we had that going on outside at a technical college. And then George and I gave a lecture. I showed my PowerPoint presentation about what the shot has done to people and where we are with all of that, and then what to do about it. And then George got up and, to great applause, gave the astrology of the time and how the old Capricorn structures are breaking down. It's kind of Saturn versus Uranus. And George, if you want to, this is the time to what you told them.
It's so powerful, the time that we're living in. It's why we're actually all here. Everyone on this call, let's not get caught up in the semantics, whether we're light bearers, way showers, healers, teachers. We're here for this now. And what's so powerful is you begin to realize Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto, the planet of transformation, Capricorn, the sign of the institution, the sign of fixed income, money, government, overreach. Anything Saturn rules Capricorn, anything to do with corporate governance, New World Order, is a Capricorn archetype. We're in the analytic degree, which means we're in the last degree of Pluto in Capricorn. Okay, we go back into the retrograde cycle a little bit later this year, but at the end of the day, it's a takedown of these old systems. Isn't it interesting that leading up to 1776, we were in the same position, fighting the tyranny of the British government? And here we are again, fighting the tyranny of the New World Order. Again, city-states, London, the Vatican, DC, you do the math. Once you put it together, it's pretty simple. And here we are, we're part of birthing this new republic. And it's an exciting time, but Saturn always seems the loudest, the scariest in the anaretic degree, when he is going to fight for his life, because he knows he can't win. So he's going to try his best to disrupt. And so what I love about these tours that we're doing, and we're going to be doing more, and many other people are doing their own versions of it, because that's what it's about, the locality, devolution. And that's what Q has always told us to do. It has to be we the people taking back control, because without our humanity, it's game over. It's transhumanism. It's depopulation. And that's one of the reasons why I love working with Dr. Northrup, because it is about the celebration of our humanity and our biology.
Right. Now, the other thing that happened that I want to bring up is I want everyone to be aware of how the darkness shows up in their lives. So George and I were at this fancy restaurant in Nashville, and I was told that there was this woman who had an extraordinary group of supplements that would reverse the COVID bioweapon damage. And so we go in there, and she's got a husband with Hollywood hair. It's like just blonde on the tips. There's a Hollywood look, okay? And then he says, this is my wife, and I married up, and she's sort of holding forth. And then I go over, and she's telling me all about her work at Pfizer and how Pfizer. She said, you don't understand how powerful they are. I first went to, Harvard, MIT, whatever, and there's all these gorgeous, gorgeous 22-year-old women, and I didn't know who they were. And then I found out that they were prostitutes for each of the scientists at MIT and Harvard who were working on their projects. Tell me something I don't know. The honeypot is as old as time. And then she said, and I've just come back from Davos and the World Economic Forum. And I'm thinking, what? And so George is walking into the restaurant, and I'm thinking, I don't think I'm going to keep going with this conversation. If you just came back from Davos and the World Economic Forum, and you're telling me that they all talk about the depopulation, but you think somehow you can work within that setting, I don't think so. So George just walks in, and I run over to him and I go, George, because I got the conversation going in my head about, okay, she seems to really know what she's doing. She's got this huge project that's, product line, but we don't even know what's in the frickin' shot. So how can you tell me that these supplements are going to reverse all that, and without God they won't, and blah, 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 blah. And so George goes, oh no, I saw her energy field from the doorway. I said, good, let's leave. So
Fantastic.
I think that's also one of the things we're all learning to do. And Huna, you're an expert at this, is using the somatic, tapping into the body, really realigning ourselves with our inner pendulum. Yes, we can use an external pendulum. And Rithu, you're a dear friend. You've always used a pendulum. But we've also got our own pendulum. And we have to constantly, be charging our inner crystal, which is our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, our sternum, our heart chakra, because it never lies. But we do have to detoxify to activate that, because the deep state that the New World Order has obviously very clearly put in protocols for us not to delay our ascension. Our ascension has been delayed for the last 500 years plus.
Yes,
that's another conversation. And now it's time. The fall of Atlantis, it didn't work. The fall of the medical tyranny, again, another repeat of now. This time, it's different. We have God on our side. And actually, it is weirdly, perversely, and paradoxically, thanks to the artificial intelligence of technology, that we are able now to share this and allow a great awakening, which only happened in the village or the country at the time. Now it's happening globally, truly. It's very exciting.
And just to touch on that, just as we've got another question coming up. So this is what you're talking about now, sweet dear ones, is the transition codes, the transition phases to governance, wealth, transference of wealth, health. We're now talking transition codes. And so if it's okay, I'd like to bring on Anastasia for her question right now. She's been waiting there in the wings. We have we're getting a lineup over here in the show for some questions. So this is great. Anastasia, I think you're muted. So if you can share us your question.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much. What an honor. This is a great, I feel so very blessed. So I'll keep it brief, and I do have to get ready for work. So if I show my face after, I'm going to listen to the replay. But since I heard Huna talk about the Lemurian calendar a couple of months ago, I've been so intrigued regarding should, and George is here, so this is a great question. Do we throw out the current Western astrology? Is there a blending of it? I'm really wanting to be more in alignment with our ancestors and what's coming, what we're bringing back. So if somebody could speak to that. I don't want to throw everything out, but I also want to be more in alignment with the new earth and the ancestors.
I'd like to have a go, and I know Dr. Northrup will have a lot to contribute on this too. The thing is, I think, it's to do with human consciousness. We have to also meet where we're at as a species, and the zodiac does still carry, because we've put power into it, an authentic reflection of our divine truth. Is the zodiac perfect? No, but the 12 code is important. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 months, the 12 weeks of the year, the 12 Chinese zodiac, the Jupiter cycle, the Zeus, king of the gods. I could go on for a long time symbolically about 12. And yet we can talk about the 13th, which is Orpheus, or Asclepius, the 13th sign. The point is, we're going to have to, as we evolve into the new age, we're going to have to lift our consciousness, and eventually the old global zodiac will become more integrated within the new identity. I'm one of these people. I'm the puer, the eternal child. I am not fixed in my belief system. If I'm going to teach radical freedom, I cannot be attached to any belief system, including my own intelligence of astrology. Astrology, what is astrology? And I'll share this and I'll let the others speak. Astrology really, the zodiac is, how would I describe it? It is a map of the heavens. And the word disaster comes from disastro in Greek, which means literally without stars. We need them for guidance. They are there. It's how we interpret them as to how our level of consciousness is. I mean, on a negative level, I'm not going to mention the politician. She has Saturn in Leo conjunct Mars on the midheaven, children and sacrifice. You could use it for that, or you could use it for deep protection of children through structures and organizational love. The zodiac is very important. The language needs to be rediscovered and uncovered, and it needs to be integrated into a much larger understanding of our galactic history, which is where Huna comes in with the Lemurian. You know, from my perspective, I'm trying to rediscover my Lemurian. I actually have more memory of Atlantis, but also some of the problems of the fall of Atlantis. I have memory of the misuse of technology, so we're in a repeat pattern. What Huna offers is a return to that golden age, which is actually almost, seems to me to be pre-Anunnaki.
If I could jump in just briefly. So we were going from the transitions a moment ago in the last question, and this transition comes about by catalyzation, right? So the catalyzation is a follow-on. Things have to follow along. We talk about lead, follow, and follow and lead, and it's the way of the whale and the dolphin. And this catalyzation is we do require the Gregorian to let us say bump us along, right? You're gonna get a bump. We've got enough bumps. You think you need more bumps? You want any more bumps? We can give you more bumps. I mean, it's kind of gangster. I know what I'm saying, but that gave us a bump along. We're bumping along there, and then the other respect to this is there's the two frequencies, right? There is a frequency that you can work with if you'd like to. You know, as Huna Wadema suggested, you can use these frequencies and these codes for whatever reason. You can use the zodiac in two ways, to be the higher frequency or the lower frequency. And my understanding, when you are working with the zodiacs into the higher frequency, you are transitioning into Lemuria, and you are transitioning into the higher frequencies. For instance, okay, from the zodiacs, which is Aquarius for me, once was Aquarius. And my understanding, that frequency has become and returned to the throat chakra, the water breath, or the breath. It is really water. Water is breath.
Isn't it interesting, though, that you say the throat chakra, and yet Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and Mercury rules the throat chakra? That's what I love about the integration.
Absolutely, and that correlation, we're going to jump into some of those wonderful correlations if we can in a moment without getting really stuck deep into this. We need more days at this layer, sweet dear ones. We need more days. We're getting bumped along here. And so in the throat chakra, so Aquarius has returned to the throat. And whose throat is it? And my understanding is the tiny voice from heaven, the hummingbird. And the month, that moment, we call the Motu. and we'll share more of this, the Motu, is now this transition. So it is catalyzed, bumped along. We're getting bumped along over there. We're going to bump up into a higher frequency. I will yield to the gentlewoman. I'll yield to the gentlewoman, Dr. Northrup over here, as she may have her perspective.
I think you just stick with the growing seasons. The Farmer's Almanac is really astrology. Everyone should know that. And if we just learn from nature, I think that that's going to take care of a lot. But also remember that we're part of nature. I was listening to Alex Collier yesterday, and he talked about how we have been misled about the sun and the stars. You said, George, disaster means without stars. We literally get vibrational energy from the sun and from the stars. And I think if we stay in the present moment, stay in nature, get grounded, be barefoot on the beach, barefoot on the soil, and then when we have plants, whatever, use our human royalty really to love them, and you'll see that they flourish. I have a friend who was visiting family in Israel, and there was this bush in front of their house, and it bloomed a couple times a year, but it was not blooming when she was there on that extended visit. But every day she walked by the bush and she said, "Oh, I love you. I love how you give me these flowers, and their fragrance is incredible." By the end of her visit, out of season, this bush had blossomed with all of these flowers. We have this kind of power to interact with nature.
Okay. Also, that's such a beautiful analogy on the subject of water as well. When we understand that our relationship with water, and water carries consciousness, everything carries a form of consciousness, from the flower to the bees to us to water, even a stone. It's that, and that's what Lemurian culture seems to be all about. From the little I know, and what I'm learning from Huna and the team, is it is a deep reverential connection to the chthonic, to the nature, and to pantheism.
Thank you, Anastasia, for a great question, widely open-ended, open question there, and for those wonderful answers. I'm going to invite, we'll bring Huna Kahasahi onto the screen here. Hello, my love. How you doing there? And some of you have met. You remember, you can unmute your mic there, please. Sweet dear one. There you go. There you go.
Hi, it's so good to see you again.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been a moment.
Yes.
So I actually would like to, I have one question for each of you. And I will start with you, Huna Takureru. And I would like to hear from you how your observations have been over the past year concerning the whole field of the womb energy, and how you feel it. In what stage do you feel is it right now, and what have your observations been in concerns to women's health?
Human reproduction has been under attack in a huge way. The stillbirth rate is up 500%. Miscarriage rate is up 100%. Fetal malformation is up 100%. In our study called mycyclestory.com, we gathered 6,000 women's stories from merely being around people who had had the shot. And in the world literature, there are only 40 cases, or were only 40 cases, of what's called decidual cast shedding, where the entire inside of the womb after days of cramping just comes out as a big piece of tissue that looks like the inside of the uterus. In our subgroup of 6,000 women, we had 250 reported cases of decidual cast shedding. It only normally happens under times of great emotional or physical stress. We saw bleeding in 18-month-old baby girls, where they would hemorrhage just being around newly inoculated grandparents. And we've had 90-year-olds getting their periods back. We also know that if you are on an airplane, again, if you haven't had the experimental biologic, if you're on an airplane next to someone who's had a shot, often you'll get nosebleeds. These things are very real, and I don't want to pass over them. We also know that people are dying of blood clots, and the morticians are showing you things that they have never, ever seen. You might have watched the movie Died Suddenly, and that gives the statistics, or also Ed Dowd's work called Died Suddenly, or without cause, something. Ed Dowd is a broker, was a major broker who helped make BlackRock wealthy. He's that good at being a trader, and he noticed these trends way back, and he was trying to tell the insurance actuaries. Now, if you've ever been around an insurance actuary, they're a different species. They don't get it wrong. They do not get it wrong, because that's what makes insurance companies have the tallest buildings in every city in the United States, the Hancock Tower in Boston and so on. Well, they got it wrong, because there's been a 40% increase in deaths between 18 and 64. The working 40%. That is a four sigmatic. That just doesn't happen. It's like 1 in a billion. And people are very, very slow to see this, but it's a war on fertility. We know that sperm count is down 60%. Also, the average testosterone level in a male now is 200. In World War II, it was 1,000. So what we're seeing is and then of course there's the trans agenda, and this is in every public school in the state of Maine, my little state of Maine, where they're pushing the trans agenda on 5 and 6 year olds, and not telling the parents. These things are all going on, but here's what I know. Life, the agenda of the old world is death. That's their agenda. And when death is your focus, it leads to death, including theirs. So we're going to have, I'll bet you, we're going to have a baby boom like nothing you've ever seen. And the people who haven't had the shot, or somehow clear it from their system through divine love, through standing on the earth, sun gazing, getting your water clean, and all of that, we will have a total transformation of human DNA and human fertility and human reproduction. But it starts with facing what we did with Hugh Hefner, the Playboy Mansion, Playboy bunnies, and porn. Porn. 80% of Christian men watch porn. We got to get that out of here, because it's so addictive that once someone watches it, they become addicted to watching more and more and more. We have an epidemic of 19-year-old men who cannot get an erection except through porn. What do you think that does to relationships? So we're going to take it down to the studs on every level.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
you want to ask another question too?
Yes, I wanted to ask you, Huna, Warema. I remember that we spoke briefly about astrology and your work, and I wanted to know how has your initiation as a Huna and being in the alignment with the Lemurian calendar, because that's what the seal brings. How has it affected your astrology work, or how have you noticed, if you're willing to share?
Thank you. It's a good question. I think it's definitely helped me open up more to remembrance. I think it's also very aligned naturally with who I am in my intrinsic way, as someone who is always trying to tap into something universally true. Being someone who's deeply fascinated with freedom and wanting to explore freedom. And here's the other thing, is which also relates to your first question to Dr. Northrup: the great reset begets the great awakening. It's through the emergency that we emerge. We've had to come through this very traumatic birthing of a species in order for us to emerge. We weren't able to emerge, I believe, without it. In our level of consciousness as a species, we've had to come through this pain and suffering. It's what the trauma planet is about, and we are emerging. As a result, for me, the Lemurian quality is a remembrance of something much more ancient, and it's connected to our galactic history and real sense of his story. as being an Englishman, although I'm an American citizen, I'm very aware of the spelling and the spells and the cults and the cultures and the power of the English language to control. One of the things that Dr. Northrup and I have been exploring her much more seriously than I'm still very new at it, is the maritime law and the control systems of the old system. So I don't want to go on a red herring there, but when you think of the birth canal, it connects to her as a OBGYN, you know, the sense of everything's about coming into port, birth, tax, money, everything as a bank. When we begin to realize this, and it is connected to Lemuria, because what does Lemuria represent? It represents a purity of our humanity to shine as who we truly are, as divine spirits living incarnate in flesh, free to love. And so the Lemurian, in a way, has just given me an extra sense of perspective, which is much deeper and more profound.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I can
Thank
add,
you both very much.
thank you, Lorna. If I can add to some of this, from the perspective of, to this question, from the perspective of the womb, the transitioning, the catalyzing, and now this movement into the transcending. I've been tracking for some time through these three titles: transmutation, transition, transcendence. They're aligned to certain ceremonies that I perform, and they're aligned to the Lemurian codex before confusion. And so the attack upon the womb, you know, they know about death, and they also know that despite that, they also know that there is a repopulation program. There is a depopulation program, and there is a repopulation program. Okay, guess who's working on the repopulation program? Hello there. So that's part of my work, is to intent and to intensify and bring forth codes before the confusion for all of those to transcend death, and for us to assist each other into the repropagation of this world. The repopulation agenda is also during the same moment as the depopulation program.
Good point. Good point.
Absolutely. And just one more thing, and I'll open this over to a conversation as well. And thank everyone for the questions. The repopulation program, here's a little snippet of part of how we're standing in that, in the spiritual world, from the lowest realms to the highest realms. In May, coming this May, very soon, we will be in Japan at the Stargate, Uruha. It's at the foot of Mount Fuji. And this is one part of two codes that is to assist the reemergence and the repopulation, and it's somewhat of a washing machine, I might say. It's somewhat of a washing machine system that we are working with 3 Stargates and 6 constellations. 6 constellations. We call it the kind of a washing machine cycle to help repopulate the souls that are coming in and providing the highest level of protection and guardianship for them through the highest light of the Christ light, beginning in May, starting in Japan at the Stargate Uruha, and then it will be culminating and completing, converging in Mongolia at the Gobi Desert at the Stargate Sahi Uru. So we're going to go Uruha to Sahi Uru, which is a cycle system. Okay, in Lemuria, this means to return and enter, and it happens like that. Boom! Don't blink, because you'll be back. Okay, so I want to share that energy vibration with you that is so far beyond fear. It doesn't even exist. Fear doesn't exist. Like bang, you'll be right back. Why? And not talking about in terms of a loop. You're going to be rediscovering yourself and discovering yourself and rediscovering yourself infinitely to growth, which is what Huna Takureri was talking about, growth and these cycles and these systems. And so I want to share that a little bit with you, and I'm going to just open that up for any conversation with that repopulation program.
Well, the repopulation program I've heard about is that there's a hybridization program that's been going on in the deep underground military bases for decades, where it's been like the Handmaid's Tale, where there's all of these beings, these hybrid beings, Draco-reptilian and human, that are set to come onto the planet. So you need to be able to look into people's eyes. And if you get a real feeling like I did with George in Nashville about a person, then you want to run the other way. Don't support that person. George and I had another experience in Singer Island, where this doctor came to our private gathering and said that he could heal things just by moving his hand over them, their broken bones. His specialty was plastic surgery, where he just, do this and then you had a facelift. He charged enormous amounts of money for these things and showed us all the pictures, the befores and afters. And I have no doubt that he could do this stuff. And he even had created a center for sacred surgery with an operating room, scrubs, the whole thing. Not that he needed it. Now, George nearly lost his hearing being around this guy. And my feeling was, if he was that good, why didn't he go heal the dog that couldn't walk that this woman brought because she's rehabbing the dog? Well, he should have just gone to do that. But he seemed to, his only patients were the heads of pharmaceutical companies. And he had just been with George Soros or somebody. It's like, buddy, what do you do? And the name dropping of all these Hollywood people, the minute someone drops a name from Hollywood, I'm out. I'm out.
Can I just jump in here quickly, because it's very interesting about, for example, Saturn moving into Pisces, which is on the March 7th, first time in 30 years that Saturn moves into Pisces. But it's going to be very different because so much shifting's happened with the Great Awakening. One of the issues with Saturn in Pisces is false light, false prophets. Saturn, Pisces. Saturn could be like a guru, and Pisces is spiritual. And so we have to be very mindful, as Dr. Northrup says, of reading the energy of people who are coming in who may be saying something, but it's an inversion. Mm-hmm. So they're saying left, but it's really right. Up is down, left is right. And so we have to really, really tune into our intuition. That's why we have to cleanse and detox, because our bodies have been corrupted through the air supply, the water supply, the food supply. So, it's big stuff going on, but we're here to do it together. And when we can really share unique pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, we can really support each other.
Just to square that off, just to square that conversation off, in terms of the repopulation program, yes, they are doing that. For a number of years ago, we were doing counter. I don't want to say terrorism, counteractive ceremonies to counter the work that they were doing, hybridization in Sedona years ago, and in the mountain. And so there was several hunas that we were doing that to counteract some of that work, and then to get a deeper knowledge of it as well. Also, with this Uru Hasahi Uru code, the understanding is to cycle in 22 billion souls. We are repopulating 22 billion souls. That's with a B, sweet dear ones. Why? Well, that's just a small number. That's because this is a dress rehearsal. Okay, we are going to find and discover so much about that process and the beings and where they're coming from. There are beings being released from out of Saturn in the lower dimensions, and Jupiter, and from this planet within the ice. So there are many star beings trapped, many souls that have been kept in the ice, on ice, either in the dumbs down in the dungeon, or in the actual glacier themselves. I did ceremonies at Neusiedler See, which is in Austria, which is a glacier, a lake. And I'm not talking remotely. I was there. Most of the things I do, I go there. Okay. And so this repopulation program with the 22 billion souls, assisted by the Hunas, assisted you working with Lemurian coding And yes, someone mentioned you can be with your higher self. Yes, you can be, and you can be with your higher self as much as you can until you're interfered with as much as they interfere with you. You do need guidance. There is some support for that. That's why we're talking about this. You're not alone, just calling on your higher self. There is a level of energy that should be reached, and these are basic things. Your voltaic system, your electrical system should be out here beyond your arms, the stretch of your arms. This is what we call the rods of God. When we pull the rods of God, we are expanding your voltage system. That's a Lemurian technique that we've been doing for millions of years. Even Drumvalo Melchizedek learned how to do it from the Lemurians, from us, sharing these. So even when you talk about connecting to your higher self, your basics need to be in play here. Your physical connections to your electrical system and your voltage system, your spiritual system, and the system of the cycles that are upgraded into higher frequencies. And they are moving into higher frequencies. So there's 22 billion souls I'm talking about. When you are we are calling on everybody who is of the high vibrations. And we are here of the 144 C's to see the 144,000 in terms of gathering and reunion to support this action and in the repopulation program, which is connected to Lemuria. It's connected to the golden age. And we can go directly to the core of the higher self through this way for the one and the many and the many and the one. Now, let's, I know that Huna Warema doesn't have much more time. Maybe you have another 20, 30 minutes. I'd like to jump over to something that's a little bit technical for you, for the audience, sweet dear ones. It might take a little bit to kind of get around, and hopefully you can see this as we do the screen share. I'm going to invite Huna Tama'ake. Tama'ake means the child of the enlightenment, or the awakened child who's awake. And I invite her to share the screen share, and then let's talk a little bit about it. What Tuna Warema is aligned to in so many deep ways and beyond, probably. If you could do that, let me just unmute you here, okay? Before we get another question in, anyway. Okay, would you care to share with us what you've got here, Runa?
So this is the codex that I started to build. When I initially started getting into the calendar, I was looking at the alignment of the signs through the cardinal signs. So Aries equals Honu. And then I was learning a little bit more about it through Mauta, and I saw that he had put Pisces in with the Honu. So I did a little graphic design so I could see it in a different way, and it's eventually led to this, where we have the Honu that actually has aspects pulled from it into Pisces and into Aries. So you have two Gregorian signs, and maybe you have the additional constellations that column on the left. There's actually
for those who are not aware, Honu means turtle. We're talking some that know Turtle Island as well.
Yeah, and I pick on the Honu because that's my birth sign, so I'm a little biased. But the column here on the left, these are the medicines of the Lemurian birth signs, and there's also aspects and attributes of those beings that were had pieces taken from them and put into the Gregorian. So a really good example would be if you see towards the bottom, you see where it says the dolphin and the whale. It's the third from the bottom. So Honu, navigation, is a master navigator in the quantum. So leadership, courage, to me, that seems to be positive attributes in the Aries. And then it's also a water being. And then also, if you look at the second from the bottom, you have Nane, the goat. In the beginning, or in the month of April, we call that the sign of Tuatara, the smiling gecko. So you have, again, you have the ram. That aspect was pulled from the goat, the Nane. And then I had just just to do it, I put in the degrees in there too. So if we're talking about the what's going on in the cosmos with the greater things on the planet, I can go look at this and try to look at it through the Lemurian to see if it makes sense. And it seems to make sense every time I actually look into this. It's really interesting.
It is actually, because also if you look at it through Western astrology, you have something called the decans. So every 10 degrees of each sign has another ruler. So for example, Mars rules the first decan of Aries, and Sun rules the second decan, and Venus the third. So that you're beginning to see some correlations here between the Lemurian and the Western system as well, which is lovely.
That's incredible. Yes, this is a working model, sweet dear ones. Sweet dearly beloveds, this is a working model, and we are getting deeper into this to be able to share this as we make the transition, because this is to help the transition. You may understand it, you may get a little bit of it. That's all you need. You only just need a little bit of it. And if you have to, watch this video over and over and over again until it kind of makes sense, and then make correlations to what you know about these zodiacs. So on the left, constellations is referring to the Motukawa, which means the medicines of the Motu. Motu is in the Lemurian replaces the word zodiac, and Motu means island. It means an island at sea.
Wow.
Here's where the transmutation takes place for maritime law. You are already birthed into a Motu, which means you are an island at sea. You are not on a boat. You are not being born dead in the water. You were born on an island, and that Motu is to support your growth and all of what you need throughout your life, your moments that are here, in terms of the energies you put into the society when your island merges with the next island, until the continent is growing, until the skin of the earth has become one again. Remember, in Lemuria, first Lemuria was the first continent, was a mountain. And this is when we entered from light into the being, and we were finding ourselves and learning more about ourselves as we were doing this. And then 100 million years go by, and then the continent breaks up into smaller continents. Being, my understanding, is when the 12 continental beings arrived on the planet, and continents to be known as Motu. Now, I know they say there's 8, maybe 9 continents. And the energetic work I have done on this planet, physically gone to do, I count 12. I am connected to 12 Lemurian continental islands represented and spoken of as Motu. Now, the wonderful thing about this Huna Warema and Takureru, constellations is not just in the sky. The constellations are on the ground. The challenge for I share to the sweet dear ones here and everyone. Once you have an idea of where the stargates representing each Motu, and there are 4 stargates per Motu, surrounding each of those stargates is 2 constellations per stargate. Okay, so that's what we call the medicines that support your island. In other words, the constellations that support the island you stand on. Why? Because those constellations bring from above and from below, within the earth, from above the earth, to help sustain you and sustain you. Now, these are, of course, these ideals, these are concepts, and these are aspirations. Of course, they're aspirations. Everything is here to support us. And what is true, though, and what you've learned throughout the ages, and how many lifetimes you've been here, to know that those resources were always being stolen from you, taken from you, including those that you were inviting into the world, your birth, the children you were bringing. They were being stolen from you. Okay, this is the opposite. This is the Motus are here to support and continue supporting you throughout all the times here. So if you're going over this chart, you're going and reading it, you're going to that's just a little bit. We have more information on this. Email office@hoh.earth. We can connect you into some more of these wonderful understandings and connect you to your birth signs in the Lemurian side. Maybe that will make sense to you. Any other comments?
Can I make a quick comment? It's very interesting because I know Christiane Northrup's chart a little bit. It is interesting that she has quite a lot of planets in the sign, the Lemurian sign of, hang on, let me just find it. I lost it again. Hang on. It's to do with truth. It's Kirihi. And so her big archetypal essence is truth. Isn't that fascinating? And so for me, it's navigation. And we've done a lot of trips where I've done the driving. Sometimes astrology can be very literal.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The literal and catalyzing. And for the audience, Kirihi is the essence of the golden fleece. In other words, the lamb has taken back its wool and pulled the wool from your eyes. Okay, that's literally the meaning of the Kirihi, the birth month, the birth sign, the birth motu of October. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Doc, you have something to share. We have another question coming up too.
Well, let's go with the next question. But I was going to say, the whole George is an incredible navigator. And that's why we just came together to do these trips. It was completely a God thing. I mean, when would I ever meet George? When would he ever meet me? But we decided back in October of 2022 that I didn't want to fly at that time. For whatever reason, flying freaked me out. It doesn't now. I don't care. But back then. So he said, well, we'll drive. And then he came to Maine and we drove all the way down to Orlando, Florida, staying with conscious people along the way. So it's as though what George did was he created a network of safe houses, as it were,
Nice.
for workers to come next. Yeah.
Okay, we had Huna Hitu Mata. He popped in and somehow popped out. Let's hope he comes back with his question. He is from the Netherlands, from the land of ethers. So, okay, so yeah, just while we're waiting, if he comes back in for this question, then I would like to share, if I may, an image for everyone, the sweet dear ones. And if I can find that again, here it is. There it is. Okay, here he is now. He's here for the question. Okay, great. Let's just bring you on, Hitu Mata, the giant of Lemuria, right here. This guy's so tall, I tell you. Good to see you, Huna. I'd love to hear your question. Can you? Are you 5x5? I think we're 5x5.
No, he's frozen.
Did he freeze? The frozen giant.
He's an ice giant.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Yeah.
You're glitchy.
Yeah.
Do the best you can.
Yeah, is it working?
Yeah, we got you now.
My God, come on.
We got you now.
Yeah, the question is,
why don't you type it? You're here, but you could also type it so we can see you and get the
work.
You're glitching out.
My question about my question is about important frequencies, and yeah.
Oh, okay. He said something about frequencies.
That's the only thing I heard.
Now you know what he looks like. Perhaps he can text, type the message, type the question. Let me just ask him. Okay, yeah. So can we get the question? I want to share this image with you all, if that's okay. Mm-hmm. Let's screen share this right here. This is a system. I'm sharing a system with you. Okay. If you can see this okay? All right. Just gaze upon it and let me try to get one piece of it to zoom in on. I'll zoom in on the transmutation codes. This one here in the bottom left are transmutation codes of an entire calendar system. it's called the undoing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We speak to it as the undoing. Let it rasterize until it gets into focus here. Okay. I'll just leave that so you can see that for a second and bring it into your awareness. If you can read it, hopefully you can see it clearly. Try one more. There you go. This is the 28th, based upon the 28 days, based upon the 13th, which is at the center, 12 around 1, goes counterclockwise in association with the planet. And beginning at the bottom, if you are born in the month of June, this is the wombat. It represents the womb. Funnily enough, womb at. Womb where? Womb at. The womb at. And it goes counterclockwise. So the womb is representing June, and then you're going counterclockwise to the parrot, the fatura, falcon, and into the dove in September. The dove is in September, turtle in March. As you know, Hunawarema is birth sign, is the turtle, is Honumotu. And right across from Honumotu is the Namu, which is the dove, birth sign of Yeshua, or Yesu, Yosus, Yoasus is another way they say the name. But just for those to look upon and gaze upon, the transmutation codes of what we call the decoding of the manipulation of the days, we align the language of Lemuria to the manipulation of days, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so forth. Replace those with the higher vibrations of the sounds you see in the pink, in the magenta. And the codes that transmute the legend of days, or the manipulation of the day codes, are those symbols you see in the orange. Transmutation codes, these symbols. Yes, that is a star, but it doesn't belong to David. This is known as the primary. It is so much ancient than David, I'm afraid.
It is.
And then in the blue, you see here, these codes and symbols in the blue are the masculine king codes, frequencies. And then in the red is the frequency of the queen's codes. So you have them close together like this. And that's because when they're together, when they're spoken together, they speak in the balance of the hemisphericals, in balance, spoken in the one sound. And there is a sound for that that we share with, which is not on here, but it's something that to gather with us to share with you. And then in the Kumara, or the purple, or the violet ray, we have of course, more transmutation symbols here that takes us deeper into the primary at the center, which is the 13th, known as the Ma'ita. At the center is the Ma'ita, which means first light in the first stone. In Lemurian, it refers to he or she who is of the first light, Christ light, that exists within the first stone body. We all know that stone is also water. And so just to gaze upon those.
It's very interesting, Huna, when you share this, because actually this is the first time you've shared this with me. And it really resonates as someone who's working with the archetypal myth, using still a conventional, I'm going to call it, if you want, a Julian calendar, but Western civilizational calendar, which obviously is Hellenistic, which actually is Atlantean. But the point is, this goes even deeper. And what I love about it is you place the 13th in the middle, which is really what I do with the ether in the middle. So you have the 12 around it. And it's how you bring, through alchemy, all 12 archetypes together to find your balance and find your position in the universe on planet Earth. And the balance between the masculine and the feminine, strong Mars, as well as strong Venus. We need both. We can't have a strong Venus and a weak Mars, or vice versa. And it doesn't matter whether in a male body like mine or a female body like Dr. Northrup. We have to have balance. So I like this very much.
It's a wonderful team that you are both. I will say, if I can, a SEAL Team 1. SEAL, SEAL Team 1. Okay, let me take it another step up into this one, which is the makeup of the 24 days of the light of days. We refer to the light of days. By the way, the entire system is spoken of as Wataka, which does not mean calendar. It means an operating platform, an operating platform of nature, truly, for Lemuria. Now, just to share the makeup of the 28 days and what happens to 29, 30, and 31. Well, that returns into the energy, the cycle of energy returning, the lamb coming in or the lion coming in, as you know, between the seasons. Those 29, 30, 31 are returning to the energies to be brought forth yet again through the next cycle of 28 days. Now, if you see this, if you're looking from 1, 2, 3, 4, it spirals counterclockwise and spirals all the way out and around and comes all the way back around and goes into the center. That continuum is not a closed cycle. That is an open-ended, infinite cycle of light. Well, an open, infinite cycle. We call that cycle the koru, which has everything on that spiral, the koru. And then this image here, just to get it quickly, is the transcendence. This is representing the transcendence. So we went from the transmutation to the transition into the transcendence. And the representation of the transcendence, the best that we can in a two-dimensional form right here. We're working on the 3D model. This shows you all the 28 days, 12 around, and then the 1, and gives you just the images of the birth signs, the motus. And just to sit that with your dragon eyes to take in and integrate. And if this is helpful for you, we invite this for you. If it's helpful for you, it is not by no means am I saying you've got to do this. We are sharing these things. I don't own these. And let me, by the way, I have to thank Huna Matatu, Agnes Slupeth, for this wonderful arrangement of graphics that she has done, bringing this system into this graphic. You can get this on a blanket, you can get it on a wall hanging, and this is now replacing the calendar. In terms of calendars, this is replacing the word calendar with Wataka, with the high frequency, which means Wataka, which means this is a little bit of an educational thing, and I apologize. I'm going to pop it in here because we're going to go straight to your third eye on this. Wa, which means first love. Ta, which means the first stone. Ka, which means the first born or first birth. Okay, so it is the journey of first love through the first stone in the first birth. And that is it's a system by way that it is infinite in the way that we understand it and share it. So I hope that is helpful for you all, sweet dearly beloveds. And if there's anything to share further beyond of that, you can welcome that. Absolutely. And let me okay. And Huna is back as well. So let's just get him back in here. Huna Hitu Mata. He seems like he's got a good signal now. There he is. You're muted, Huna. So just unmute. Be all good.
Yeah, now I'm back, I think.
Perfect.
Is this on mute? Is this fine?
We can hear you. Great.
Yeah, I'm back.
Go ahead.
Fine. Do you really?
Well, you were. Get it in there. Get it in there. Huna, what can you get in there? Get it in there. All right.
Why doesn't he type it out to you and then you can read the question?
Yes. Huna, why don't you type the question and I will voice it for you. But stay on the screen. Thank you so much. Yeah, just type it out in the comments. While he's typing there, any questions about that image, those images I shared?
No questions. They're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Is he coming along here with his question?
It might be interesting also to put the frequency hertz alongside some of those things in time. You know, like 528 hertz is one of the most powerful frequencies, you know, affecting well-being, and then like 639 is another one. I'm sure there's correlations of hertz to some of those archetypes.
Yes, absolutely, and a good idea, and something that we have been looking at. Hitu Mata, go ahead and type your comment in. We've only got a few minutes left with our wonderful, beautiful guests, and we have to get out of here. It's, of course, time. And I have to say, I'm just so grateful for you both, for being here with you.
It's been lovely.
What a wonderful attendance. There's 230 plus people here on this channel, and I'm just like only just begun with my TV channel, so you've really helped boosting things.
Great.
If I could share everybody, the links, we got to share your link, and I'll share this YouTube link with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's his question, Thomas Peppercamp, aka Huna Hitu Mata. His question is, how do we reverse the evil spells of the draconian system?
Oh, well. Christian, why don't you go with that? Because Alex Collier, you know, discusses that rather well, doesn't he?
Well, I think it's actually quite easy. And Chris O'Connor gave a formula. You keep your frequency high. And so K, kindness, A, activity, L, love, K-A-L. You literally, it's simple to keep the frequency high. And then we need to remember that it is a discipline to stay high frequency. Every single thing that you read, that you see, makes you think that the world is coming to an end. There's no hope. We're going to get all these Draco reptilians coming up from underground, and the giants are going to wake up, and they're going to pollute our air and water with dioxin and phosphine gas, and all of this. You need to remember that, Jesus said, "These things and more ye shall do also," and that was about our power as humans. So just staying high frequency as a human being is an air purifier that helps everybody around you. So I would do that. And then whenever you can, just make sure you're drinking clean water that's structured. You can structure it by just saying, "I love you." Seriously, that'll structure water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then just remember, don't spend any time with energy vampires. Now, we think that they injected people with biotech parasites. I know they did. And they're these dark things. Elena Denon talks about that. But there are also parasites in your life. 1 in 5 people has a personality disorder. So we don't have to look at the psychopaths like Ralph Barrick at UNC. The psychopaths are in your family, not psychopaths, usually just basic narcissists. So don't let them drain you. They use us. They use empathic humans as an energy source. So keep your own vessel full and don't give too much away.
You can also, I'm a great fan of like music and tuning forks. I've actually got a 528 tuning fork right here, which is really cool. Okay. And just by clearing, 528 is transformation and miracles. It's a frequency. It's a very, very powerful frequency. It creates well-being. It creates like a Harry Potter, protection layer over you. It is the love frequency. So obviously the water is important, air quality is important, all those things, but you can do a lot through breath work. And just remember that everything's an inversion. Everything the mainstream media tells you is a lie now. It really is that simple.
Fantastic. And my suggestion is other than the many tools that the House of Huna has to offer on this, a wonderful combination of both of your presentations would be to announce is it KAL? Cal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Announce KAL in the frequency of 528.
Oh, that's good.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Rather than it just being a frequency, you've put an intention to it.
That's great.
In the word, in the voice, in the sound. So like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Absolutely. Chanting is at the alpha and the omega of it all.
That's wonderful.
That's what we said we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. Sweet, sweet dear ones, sweet dearly beloveds. We were coming right at your third eye, right at your crown, right into your harmonic frequency, putting all the information we can in there today with our beautiful Hunas, wonderful specialist practitioners, Dr. Christian Northrup, aka Huna Takureru. Takureru. Remember, if you say Takureru, you have to speak up in the frequency. You got to talk up here. And now our brother George Lewis, astrologist extraordinaire, navigator. Birth sign is the Honumotu, the Turtle Island, aka Huna Warema. Warema, ma. There's a big smile on your face when you say
Warema.
I want to thank Huna Hitu Mata, the giants of Lemuria from the Netherlands, for bringing that incredible question. As we, of course, we are undoing what does not serve us. And we're going to throw as much as we can at you. We are. Let's just say, we are the one in the many, many in the one. In other words, we are not just human. We are in the human, and because we are in the human, we become more than just human. We become many, and many lights in one light, and one light inside of many lights. Our challenge to recognize each other and see each other. That's how we undo the things. Wow, what an incredible show. I'm just blown away by you both, and I look forward to hearing more. Please share more about your journeys together. I only just heard about you guys getting out on the road together. I wish I'd have known earlier. Of course, we are out there again in June. We start burning masks in Iceland.
Mm.
We're now doing a month apart instead of every weekend. So it was nuts. That was so gangster.
Yeah.
And you rose to the occasion. Boy, we just powered through that. But we're giving ourselves more space. And I hope to see you out there. And hopefully we can get together again. Just any old way we can. Yeah.
Very good.
Lovely.
Sweet, sweet dear ones, sweet dearly beloveds. Thank you so much. This has been Huna Flash TV. And we'll see you again. So much wawa, which means aloha, wawa nui. So much love. And we'll talk to you again soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Next Sunday, we'll have another show. By the way, sorry. Next Sunday, I am with Catherine Edwards and Ismael Perez. Next Sunday, we'll let you know the time. Ciao.